Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Welcome to Winmore. I'm your president, Jackie Raley. I'm president of Winmore Community Council, and so happy that you chose Winmore to be your next home. It's not an easy decision, but you did make the right decision on choosing Winmore. It's a great community to live, to play, to meet new friends, and we welcome you. And what you will see following this introduction is everything you'll need to know to get started, to feel comfortable in your new home. Winmore has so much to offer. Of course, with COVID, things have been limited, but you could still find a great array of things to do. Of course, we're limiting occupancy in our craft rooms, in our fitness center, but it's still there for you to enjoy and to make new friends. As you know, and hope you are aware of, we have transportation. We have a slew of clubs and amenities that you can enjoy. You can either be very quiet or you could be very busy, whichever you choose. We do ask, however, that you stay safe and wear your masks and sanitize and be careful during these trying times. This way we can get out of this awful mess and you can enjoy Winmore at its best. So with that, I'm going to leave it to the experts to tell you exactly what you need to do to get started. I hope to meet you all one day and wish you well, and thank you.
Hello, everybody in Winmore land. This video is in particular it was going to be for new residents, but we thought we'd do it for all residents because as time marches on, things change. And first, we want to welcome everybody to Winmore. You made a right choice by living here. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Winmore before we get into the operations of the Liaison office. First, people ask you, where do you live? The normal answer is I live in Winmore. And that's true. But Winmore is made up of 44 different associations out of 18 villages. So you really live in the country of Winmore, but you live in the state of whatever your building or association is related to. For instance, Portofino, Portofino 2, Aruba, et cetera, et cetera. So why is this important? It's important because most of the decisions made in your government life is from your association, not from the council. The council's primary responsibility is to take care of all of the common elements outside of the villages, which include the roadways, the theater, the country club, the golf course, the racket center, and the buses, and all those type of amenities. But everything inside the walls of your association are taken care of by a board that was elected by you to represent you for those expenses, particularly your building and your own common elements, which would be your roadway and your pools. So saying that, it's important that you understand the difference. So most of the things that affect you come through your association. So I'm reaching out to you and say, know who your board of directors are, go to the meetings and understand how your local government works. And you'll be not just better informed, you'll be a better resident and you'll be able to serve this community that you've grown to love so much. Now, this all starts with moving into Winmore. And we've created what we call the Association Liaison Office. I use the term association because, again, there are 44 associations that have to work with us and work with what we call the council, which is like the federal government. So I'm going to hand it over to our Director of Association Affairs, Fred Michael, and he will start leading you into, since you got here, where you're going. So Fred, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Bruce. Hello, everyone. Over the past dozen years, the Association Affairs Office has evolved. This office processes all sales, leases, additional occupant, and architectural applications. We prepare, post, and email meeting agendas. We schedule all association meetings upon request of the association board of directors. We keep all official association minutes on file. We keep unit owner files current for all 5,260 units. We compile violation letters, and we assist the associations in the finding process. We keep current records of all service and emotional support animals, and we keep more than 6,500 residents informed through our mass email database. At this time, I'd like to introduce the staff of the Association Affairs Office. We have Nadine Ortiz. Say good morning, Nadine.
Morning, everyone.
And we have Jerry Lindstrom.
Morning, everybody.
Let's first start with the sales and leases. Through August 30th of this year, the Association Affairs Office has processed 339 sales and 367 lease applications. The office has also processed an additional 85 additional occupant applications and several hundred seasonal lease applications that will begin later this year. So we're looking close to 1,000 applications that we've already processed in the office this year. And all those applications are initially processed by Nadine. So Nadine, when you receive an application, what do you look for?
When I receive an application, I normally look to make sure that the application is completed and fully filled out. We are looking for the $100 transfer fee made out to the association where they are going to be either buying or renting. If it is a sale, then we look for an executed contract, proof of annual income and funds, proof of their age. They can submit the driver's license. If they are a foreigner, we look for the passport. And if they are getting a mortgage, then we look for a loan estimate, which should be submitted with the sales application.
Nadine, once the financial credit report and background checks are received, what are you looking for?
We're looking to make sure that the buyer has a minimum 650 credit score and that there's no evictions in the background check.
Thank you. Jerry, once Nadine has compiled all the necessary information, what is the next step?
Well, when I receive the applications, I first check to see if it's a sales application, a lease application, or additional occupant application. When I look for the sales application, there's basically 9 things I'm looking for. I'm looking to see that the buyers and their ages, so they do meet the minimum age requirement for Winmore. I also check to see if they are a full-time or part-time resident. I do check to see if it's a cash sale or if there's a mortgage. And if there's a mortgage amount, I state that amount with the percentage of the sale going toward a mortgage. I also put on what is the expected closing date. Our office does have 30 days to get approval denials on the applications, and we make sure we put that information on our email to the board. Once that's been determined, I verify the income of either the buyer or the combined buyers. I do this by looking at what's been submitted to me, Social Security benefits, pay stubs, letters from employers. All that is used to help calculate what is their yearly annual income. At the same time, I look for any assets, savings accounts, investment accounts, and I check to see if those statements are provided and also with their amounts. At that point, I accumulate the totals for the income of the buyers, make that comment, and also put what the total assets that they have in their accounts, and that statements were applied with those applications. Once that's been done, I review the application again to confirm the vehicles. If they have one car, most people have one car, some do not list a car, but I make note of that on the email to the board of directors. Also, I check with the association to see if they are allowed to have more than one vehicle. We do have a list, and so I check on that, and also comment on the email whether it means 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle or so, or how the situation fits. Also, what I check for is if they have any registered animals. Nadine lets me know on the application if there's a registered animal, whether it be a dog or a cat. And so I take a look at that. I look at the documents to make sure it's from a licensed doctor and not from the internet. I look to see to make sure that the shots are current, and also the scheduled shots are noticed on the application as well. Also is required is a picture of the animal. So this way, when I inform the board, I can say there's a picture of a small dog that is registered as a support animal or emotional support or service, whatever the situation fits. Once I'm done with that, then I look at the background check that Nadine provides to me. And like she stated, I check to make sure the credit score is the same. So we do a checks and balances on that. Make sure that the credit score is at least the minimum 650. We do look at that and we report that. The credit report that we get from Brown Security lists the credit reports and also gives the average monthly totals for their expenses. If they have a mortgage, that's noted on there. If they have car payments, that's noted on there as well. And also the revolving credit cards. So we get a good summary of what the financial background of the home buyer is. And so we put the credit score on there for both buyers. And also in that same report tells us if they've had any evictions or if they have any international or domestic run-ins with the law, so to speak. We do note that. So most of, I'd say 9.9 out of 10, there's nothing shows on the background checks. And that's what we put on the email to the boards. Once that's been put on there, so there's basically 7 to 9 items that we list on the email to the board of directors for them to approve or deny. Once we receive the application, we're required to send that up, send the application and process it for board approval. At the very end of the email, before my sign off, we do put, if you wish to review the application in person, please contact me and we can set up an interview. That's been happening more and more lately, and we've been accommodating the board directors to make sure that they understand that they come in, take a look at the application, and get a little more details if they have some concerns about the application. When we look at the lease application, that's a little different. What we do there is we comment who the new tenants would be, what the scheduled lease is, whether it be seasonal or whether it's a full annual lease, and we put those dates on there. We also check to see if there's anything shows on the background check, again, how many vehicles are coming and if they have any registered animals. And the same thing with the sales application. If the board of directors want to review the application, they simply email me and we set an appointment to do that. Finally, when we look at the additional occupants, again, that's a different animal. What we do there is we list who the occupant is and if they've been a previous owner, renter, or anything, if they've have any previous history within Winmore. We also put what the relationship is to the tenant, if it's noted on the application. Sometimes they're a sister, owner, son, daughter, parent, we make sure that's noted on the application. We also put if there's additional car, and if there is a car, if that adds to the total of the unit of vehicles assigned to that unit. And again, the background check, we always do the background check to make sure there's no evictions or no domestic or international, mishaps with the law that we are concerned with. And again, as with the other 2 applications, if the board wants to take a look at that application for further review, please email me and we'll set up a meeting for that. And that's pretty much what we do at that point, Fred. And once we I send the emails, I get the responses from the board. I have to have a quorum of either approvals or denials based on the size of the board. And once I get that, I process that, and then I turn it back over for Nadine for the final processing.
Thank you, Jerry. That was very good. Yeah, as JR says, or Jerry says, once the board approves the application, it's returned back to Nadine. She must then complete what we call a certificate of approval. That is the certificate of approval is signed by myself as agent for the association. The corporate seal, each association has a corporate seal. The corporate seal's put on that, it's signed, notarized, and then Nadine gives it to the realtor or the broker or the buyer. And once the unit closes, that must be recorded with the Broward County Properties Appraiser's Office. So Nadine, once we receive notice from the broker or the buyer that a unit has closes, what's the next step?
The next step we require is called a settlement statement. Once we receive this settlement statement, then we're able to register the new owner in the database. And for the leases, we usually input that information a day prior to the start date of the lease.
Good, thank you, Nadine. Yeah, also what Nadine does at that time that she gets the settlement statement, she also immediately grants the new owners or the new tenants when the lease starts gate access. So their names show up at both gates. So when they initially come to the gate, they'll get a temporary 7-day pass until they have time to schedule an appointment to get their barcode and their IDs. Nadine, let's go back to the leases because the lease process is a little different. Can you explain what you look for when we receive a lease application?
Yes, when we receive a lease application, what we're looking for is to make sure that the application is completely filled out. We're looking for the $100 application fee made payable to the association where they're going to be renting. We need an executed lease, which we do provide one with the application. However, sometimes there's real estate agents and they have their own lease, which they do supply with the application. And we also look for either a copy of the driver's license or the passport for foreigners.
Great, thank you. Let's discuss more association affairs information. As Bruce said at the beginning, we encourage all the unit owners to get involved within their association. You should plan to attend your association board of directors meeting, to understand how your association is governing itself. If your board has scheduled a meeting, it will be posted on your building. Most of the postings are on your bulletin board. Some are in the laundry rooms, the mail rooms, and we also email it as well. So if you're among the 6,500 residents on the email database, you'll also receive a copy. Right now, we're doing all the meetings by Zoom because of COVID. You'll receive a copy of the agenda as well as the Zoom login. Again, as Bruce says, you must realize that each association governs themselves, and what may be policy or a rule in your association may apply or not apply to your association. So you may say, well, my neighbor in Granada can do this. Why can't I? Well, it's because their documents are different from yours. It's not Winmore. Everybody always says Winmore. As Bruce says, you have 44 associations within the community. Winmore is the common property shared by the 44 associations, as Bruce said, the theater, the golf course, the main pool complex, and so forth. It's also important for our residents to keep their unit information current. The Winmore Resident Emergency Contact Form, Henry, if you could put that up on the screen. This allows gate entry for your family or friends in the event of an emergency. For example, you may be hospitalized and your son or daughter, wrong one, Henry, here we go. Your son and daughter may need access to get you some clothes or get you your medications or whatever. If they come to the gate and state that they're on your emergency contact list, security will not only grant access, but if necessary, a security guard will escort them to the unit and open the unit for you. If you don't have anybody listed as your emergency contact, we will not grant access because what we've learned in many instances is sometimes family members, you're the owner of the unit may not want certain family members to enter the unit. So if you're not on the emergency contact list, you will not be granted access. So it's very important for our unit owners to make sure we have emergency contacts in the system. This is not for regular gate access. This is for, it's not if they're a guest and they're coming to visit you. This is just for emergencies. Henry, if we could put up the next exhibit. This is the unit address change form. What this form is for, again, these two forms we just put on the screen, they are available by emailing myself, Jerry, or Nadine, and we can email them to you. We'll put our email addresses on the screen later on. but these are mostly for our seasonal residents. So any correspondence from Winmore, your payment booklets, any mailings that may be sent out involving your association, we need to know where to send that mail. Do we send it to your unit here in Winmore, or do we send it to your alternate address? So this form is very important. Again, it's available. We can email it to you. You can fill it out and email it back to us. So again, keep us informed so we make sure the information is going to the proper location. The Association Affairs Office, we also investigate possible violations within your community. The board of directors many times will say, we think there's an unapproved occupant or an unapproved guest in a particular unit, or there may be an abandoned vehicle. There's many scenarios, and this office does investigate. Sometimes we're able to investigate rather quickly, same day. Sometimes it may take a day or two. And if there is a violation, then our office will send a violation letter to the unit owner explaining that they need to rectify that problem. Okay, so now let's move on to some security issues. So Nadine, as part of the Winmore resident packet, our residents are provided with information on various things. You want to go ahead and discuss them?
On the application, it is implemented that the apartment locks must be keyed to security's master key. If you do need an ID replacement, you may contact Destiny in the resident registration office, and she's also the contact person when you first move into Winmore, so you can obtain your Winmore ID as well as your barcode for your vehicle. The gate hours for both West and Main Gate, they are open 24 hours, 7 days a week. And you also need appointments to obtain your ID as well as your barcode. To obtain your barcode, you do need to provide Destiny with your car registration, and a deposit of $100 is collected at this time for your barcode and your ID card.
And those are refundable when they move out, correct?
Correct, yes. The speed limits inside the community is 25 miles on the circle and 15 miles inside the villages. And when you do get to a stop sign inside the community, you do have to come to a complete stop. If you do not, security will be issuing citations for these violations.
Thank you, Nadine. Let's get to some financial information. And Henry, if you can put up Exhibit 5. Your monthly maintenance payments do include your water, your sewage, garbage, basic cable TV with 7 HBO channels, and all the amenities and services that Winmore provides, such as, the theater, the main pool complex, the golf course, the racket center, the shuffleboard courts, and so much more. There's so many activities here that you can get involved in.
When you do move in, you do have the option, if you do not want to pay with a monthly maintenance booklet that we do provide, you do have the option of paying, it's called an auto pay. The form that is posted, you can fill it out and submit it to Tiffany Slacks. Her email and her information is listed on here.
For your homeowners insurance, 22 of the 44 associations do require you to carry homeowners insurance. Your insurance carrier may actually request a copy of the association's master insurance policy, which is available from our office upon request. So if you're unsure if your association requires homeowners insurance, please feel free to email us at fredm@winmorecc.org, and we will get that out to you as quick as possible.
Fred, I'd like to thank you and your staff. That was a wonderful presentation. Maybe there's just a few things we need to clarify. There's a myth going around that these decisions about new people moving in, whether it's a renter or a buyer, are the decision of your department. Can you tell us the reality of that?
Oh, absolutely not, Bruce. So all this office does is processes the applications, gathers the information, the necessary information. And in many instances, the board will ask for more information. They may not be satisfied with what's included in the application. They may want to see tax records or additional available funds or so forth for a sale, for example. The decision to approve or reject any application that comes through this office lies solely with the board of that association. Our office does not make that decision. We don't have the authority to make that decision.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. You mentioned the email database. When I move in here, am I automatically on that database?
The sales and lease applications do have a section where if they want to be added to the email database, they provide us with their email address. And so once the sale closes or the lease begins, they're automatically added to the database. If they do not provide us with one, obviously they wouldn't be part of the database, but all they would have to do is contact us. They could either contact myself or contact Kia, and we would add them to the database. We also do have a slight problem that has been occurring recently. At the bottom of each email that's sent, we use a company called MailChimp. And at the bottom, there is a little button that says unsubscribe. And I think what's happening is a lot of times our residents will scroll to the bottom and they'll accidentally hit that unsubscribe button. So they'll email us and say, hey, I've been dropped from your email database. I haven't gotten an email in a couple of weeks. What happened? And when we investigate, we find that they've unsubscribed. We immediately resubscribe them to the database. So please be careful when you're scrolling our emails down at the bottom that you don't unsubscribe. And if there's a particular email you don't like, maybe Kia is sending an email or my office is sending an email and you say, I'm not interested in that, I'm going to unsubscribe. You have now unsubscribed yourself from everything. So make sure that you stay subscribed so you get all the information. If there's something you don't like, just delete it. But we like to keep everyone informed.
I'm glad Nadine brought up the thing about the automatic payment. This is the best kept secret in Winmore. About 62% of our residents use it. And, as we get older, me, you, Mrs. McGillicuddy, we forget things. And the first of the month comes, we have this coupon book or we're away and we find, oh, I missed my payment. So we make the payment late and we get a letter. And then, I've been paying for 20 years. I was never late. And then we got to go through all that paperwork and there's a fine attached and it just creates bad feelings. So the best thing is you go on automatic payment like you do with a lot of your other bills and you don't have to worry about the maintenance, it's paid. Another benefit is a lot of our maintenances are not paid directly by us. They're paid by our estates or our children or somebody. And it makes it easier for them to pay it. And every year when the maintenance changes, there's an update. And for the next 12 months, they got the number. And it makes it easier on everybody. And it takes away that problem of, oh, I forgot. Now I got to go through the whole rigmarole. So I think that was an important thing that Nadine brought up. Thank you, Nadine. Another thing I want to bring up is I want to make improvements to my unit. Fred, can I just go in there and have a construction company come in here and just revamp my apartment? Are there any standards, procedures, rules, regulations that we need to know about?
Yeah, you just can't bring a worker in and do work without approval. You could change your carpet to carpet, you could paint, you can remove popcorn ceiling. That's about all you can do without approval. Everything else requires the approval of the Winmore Architectural Committee and your association. Now, some of this work may not require a city permit, but it does require approval of the Architectural Committee and your association. Perfect example is flooring. Because our 4-story buildings have a 5-inch slab between the units instead of the 6-inch or 8-inch that most buildings have, we have stricter requirements on underlayment. We meet the Florida Building Code requirements for underlayment. So obviously you want to make sure that the neighbor above you has the proper soundproofing. So, you're not going to hear every single thing that goes on upstairs. Major renovations to the kitchen, the bathrooms, the patios, hurricane impact windows, and so forth, all require approval. The city will not issue permits without approval from the architecture committee and the association. So what happens is any unit owner wishing to do renovations can request a copy of the architectural application. Again, we could send that to you by email. It is also available with the security guard that's at the main pool complex. As a matter of fact, the sales applications, the lease applications, the additional occupant applications, the architectural applications are all available from the security guard at the main pool complex. That's our curbside service. They do a great job over there. They also put the barcodes on your cars once they've been approved. Your ID, your ID cards are done at the entrance to the theater box office. But anyway, getting back to the architectural application, your contractor then will submit everything that he's planning on doing in the unit. Architectural committee reviews it. If something is missing, it goes back to the contractor for the missing information or for more clarification. Once they approve it, then we again email the board, explain what's being done, get their approval. Once we get their approval, it's signed off by myself as the agent for the association. Then we email the approval to the contractor. We do follow up. My office does follow up with the city of Coconut Creek. The city of Coconut Creek's got a great system in place for us to check to make sure the process of not only the process of obtaining the permits, when the permit's issued, when the inspections are scheduled, did they pass or fail inspection, and so forth. So Tom Casey and his staff with the Winmore Architectural Committee do a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, during the month of August, they set a record. They approved 97 applications during the month of August. There's a lot of renovations being done right now, and that's great for your building as a whole. Obviously, having these units renovated with hurricane impact windows, new electric panels, and renovated kitchens and bathrooms and so forth. New plumbing, new electric. That is not only great for the unit owner, but it's also great for your building.
I want to talk a little bit about communication. Sometimes success is the biggest problem. And you've been very successful with the email blasts and all that everybody decides when they want to know anything about Winmore, they call your number or they email your address. I just want to make it clear, maybe Henry could put these phone numbers up later. Our main number is 954-978-2600. That's where you should be calling for general information, not the property liaison office. So if you want to know something about recreation, you don't know recreation's number, don't call Fred. If you want to know something about what's going on somewhere else, don't call Fred. Fred's basic job is to service the board of directors of the office's job, not just Fred's, the whole office, is to service the board of directors of the associations, plus your concerns with your association. It's the association affairs office. It's not the general information office. So please use the 2600 number for that. As far as emails go, Fred, you deal with the directors, you deal with residents, you deal with realtors. I think that, we need to, again, divide that up. We've been talking about this lately and recently. With the phone calls will come again to this general number. We have them switched over for those of you that get frustrated and you're talking to the main receptionist, because we did a survey and over 80% of the calls, again, it really should just be directors and people have problems with their association, should be going to Fred's office. 80% of the calls were for recreation or general information. So you have to be patient with us. So they filter those calls out, and those calls that are for directors or general association, association affairs concerns, they will be returned within a 24-hour period. Many people are frustrated. Fred, I find one of the big frustrations is that people are having a problem because their board of directors will not authorize something, particularly, let's say it's an expense, whether it was determined to be a building expense versus an individual expense, and they're waiting on the association to approve that bill. Well, they keep calling you thinking that you got the magic wand and you're going to change it, where you're waiting on the board as well as they are. And the pressure is the office is not getting it done. Our office is not getting, that's not true. And the people know that. And then they go up the ranks and they call my office or other offices. And it seems it just, and then we have to call the boards back and they get insulted with us. Like, we're having a meeting, you're insulting us. We're trying to take care of our business. So we try to be the middleman and help you out, but you put unnecessary pressure on, your board is not appreciating it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Your first contact as a unit owner is your board. You know, if you're in a village, multi-condominiums like Bimini in Granada, you should first be contacting your building director or your property manager if you're building as a property manager. And, you know, follow up with them. And then if you're not getting, you know, satisfaction, you could, you know, email or call us for assistance, but your initial call should be to your board and your building director.
And then the general information, the Winmore general information number. I get so many emails from Fred during the night of people that are calling him or sending it to him because they have his address from the blast and they think he's going to get everything done. Well, he doesn't have the power. He's limited to the board of directors of the associations, and he will work with you as the liaison. But on general information and items that the board has to make a decision on, right, Fred? I know you don't like to say no to people and you don't want to like redirect them, but they can help you out too by, you know, just right place, right time.
Yeah. So, yeah, we create, you know, Bruce and I were talking the other day, we created a monster. As I said, this office has evolved so much over the past 12 years, but I would say within the last 5 years, it's really evolved where, you know, we just provide so much, there's so much information out there. And just to give you an idea, I receive between 200 and 500 emails a day. And surprisingly, most of those are answered within 24 hours. And a lot of those, as Bruce is saying, a lot of those emails don't really pertain to the Association Affairs office, but because all of you have my email address, because of the email blast, I'm like your first contact. You know, if you have a water leak, you know, that's a maintenance issue. So I'll take that email and forward it to the maintenance department. But I copy you on that so you know that I forwarded your email, that I didn't ignore it or no action was taken, that it had been forwarded to another department. But what we're trying to do, obviously, is cut down on the amount of emails and phone calls that our office is receiving. Again, your first contact as a unit owner, as a unit owner, is your board. If you're a tenant, your first contact is your unit owner. Your contract as a renter is not with your association. Your contract is between you and the unit owner. So if you're having a problem within your unit and you're a tenant, you need to contact your unit owner.
I'm glad you brought that up, Fred, because we deal with the unit owner. The renter has an agreement with the unit owner. A renter, a person leasing, only has the right to use the common element. They don't vote. They're not responsible for the maintenance. Again, they have the right to the common area. And the owner gives that up when they sign the lease over. So if an owner is leasing the place and he comes and he wants to use the place, the strict rule is he can't use the facility. He can check out his apartment, go back and forth, but he doesn't have the right to the common element. Whether or not that's a very rare case, because usually they're living in a different area and they're using it more as an investment. They're not sharing the apartment with the renter. So that doesn't happen that often, but that's the rule. That's basically how's the law set up. Anything else, Fred, you want to talk about? Anybody, Nadine, Jerry, before we settle here?
Jerry, any closing comments?
Just say it's been wonderful serving everybody, helping everybody. I think our team is a very strong team. I do believe we do try to take care of everybody to the best of our abilities. And, you know, just moving forward, we just like to make sure that everybody does know we do our best to take care of everybody.
Thank you. Nadine, any closing comments?
Yes, I just wanted to say that it has been a pleasure working with the Winmore community. I've been here for about 14 years. Started off in security, and now I'm the lease and sales coordinator, and it's been a pleasure serving the community.
Thank you, Nadine. I love that smile. Yeah, Nadine's been with us a long time. Jerry's been with us for, a little over 4 months now. But it's a great addition. I am so proud of this office and what we're able to accomplish on a daily basis. I've been in this position a little over 12 years now, and it has been a pleasure serving the Winmore community. I'm here to assist our directors, our 44 boards. We have 325 directors we deal directly with. And I do work closely with the Winmore Community Council, the Management Committee, the Winmore Board of Directors. It has been a pleasure, and looking forward, hopefully when this COVID ends, hopefully looking forward to seeing a lot of you at various Winmore events. That's all I got, Bruce.
Good job, and thank you guys, and thank you for all you do. And it's really developing. Fred, remember when you first got the job? Fred was working in another department, and he was sending inter-office memos. And boy, this guy could write. And it was recommended to me from another employee who works in the finance. I said, you gotta look at this guy. So I called him in. I didn't know him. He was working in transportation. And said, let's give this guy a shot. And it's all worked out. It's super plus. Thank you, Fred. And thank you, Jerry. And thank you, Nadine. Well, that's it for today. And I hope everybody learned something. And the main thing is let them do their job. And on the general information, give it to our general receptionist number, which we put on the screen. And everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.